there, I'm Joanna Klein, your host for the Sassy, Sexy, and 60 online retreat, where we believe women 60 and over have earned the right to feel comfortable in their own skin. So when I went through my third divorce in my early 60s, I was actually kind of curious about getting onto those dating sites and seeing what it would be like. So I worked on my profile and got some pictures and then got in there, and it was like, whoa, this was intimidating. I tried it for a while, but it really didn't work for me. And I ended up finding my current relationship in another way. So I'm really interested in hearing what our guest, Lisa Copeland, has to say about how to go about finding a quality guy. Let me tell you a little bit about Lisa. Lisa Copeland is known as the expert on over 50s dating. She's the Amazon best-selling author of The Winning Dating Formula for Women Over 50 and a regular Huffington Post contributor. She inspires and teaches women how to feel lovable and empowered as they travel the journey of finding true love in the second half of their life with a quality man. Lisa, it's great to have you here. I'm really excited. Thank you for saying yes to this retreat.
Oh, Joanna, I am so honored that you asked me to join you and all these wonderful women that are here with us.
Yeah, well, we've got a lot of questions for you.
Oh, okay. I love answering questions and helping women find love.
But I'd love to start off with your story. How is it that you got involved in being a love coach and a dating expert for women over 50?
Yes. Well, when I came out of a 24-year marriage, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I cried a lot. I was in my 40s. I noticed that men then, it was very sexual. Everything was about sex. And I just didn't know how to get second dates. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I did end up in a relationship for 2 years, and then I met my second husband, and it was all based on chemistry, intense chemistry. And that is the kind of chemistry you really don't want, because all you do is spend your life in the bedroom. You don't really develop a friendship, and you need a friendship. So we got divorced. We were only married 2 years, and when we got divorced, I called my sister crying because I had looked for coaches that could help me, and everybody was in their 20s and 30s, and I'm going, really? Like, what do they know about a woman in her 50s? At that point, I was in my 50s. And I went to my sister and called and cried, like I said. And she said, oh my God, Lisa, you're so resourceful. Just figure it out. I mean, just figure it out. I believe in you. Figure it out. And so I did. And once I began to understand some really important parts that we'll be covering, I'm sure, as we're talking about dating over 50, my life changed with dating, and I actually had fun dating, and then ended up in a relationship. So it's a wonderful, I mean, it can be a wonderful, wonderful time, or it can stink, depending on whether you have the right tools and, truthfully, the support. My sister, thank God, was very supportive of me, but she really didn't know what it was like. She was married. She's been married now 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's so important that I feel it's so important to let every woman I work with feel wrapped in a cocoon of support. So she's not doing it alone. Because it's hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So support in terms of like support with other women who are going through it too, or just support in general?
Well, the support is to know what to do next. Like whenever I'm in my group, whenever I meet with my group, every woman leaves there with an action step, because otherwise you just don't know what to do. Or you have something happen. Like there were so many times I wish I had someone to turn to figure out why the date went wrong or what happened. I just didn't know when I was in my 40s. And also the men changed, by the way, through my 50s, through my 60s. They definitely changed. Like I said, 40s was about sex. 50s and 60s became more about friendship, because I think sexual dysfunction begins to come into play at these ages, and it's very, very hard on men's egos. I mean, we too can have dysfunction as well. So,
Yes.
but it's a whole different way with men through the different decades.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and with the onset of the internet, I was talking just in terms of my story earlier on, is just I thought, oh, this was going to be really fun, but then getting out there and finding it being so different. So I'm curious from your perspective, because I'm sure all the women who are watching today could share how they have experienced it as being different in their 60s and earlier. But from your perspective, what's different about dating now that we're in our 60s?
With the internet or in
Or just
general?
in general, in general.
Okay, well, in general, the difference with dating in your 60s, and most women don't realize this, you have more freedom than you had in your 20s when it comes to relationships. In our 20s, we were very geared to getting married because we needed to procreate. We were looking for the guy who was the strongest, the most fit to have our children with. And in your 60s, many women, 50, I noticed it in 50s, 60s, 70s, they still date that way, looking for the hot guy. And they go online and they go, everybody looks so old. We forget we're aging too. We don't see it. But
Mhm.
anyway, so what you do though is at this age, you have the freedom to choose relationships in a different way. So you can have a lover. I have clients that just want lovers, or I have clients that want friends with benefits, or I have clients that want to change relationships every couple of years. They feel they outgrow men much faster and that they're growing much faster than men do, and they just want to move on to the next person. I've had clients that want to be alone a while, then be in a relationship. I've had clients get married. I've had clients get boyfriends, also live together, committed and living together, or committed and living apart. So many people box in that they have to be the one, that they forget that there can be play and fun in dating at this time in their lives, because you don't have to marry them. You don't have to live with them. You can just enjoy life with them and companionship. It's lots of choices. We didn't have that in the 20s.
Bingo, you've really hit it on the head. And I know it's true for me. It just feels so much more empowering at this age. And when I let go of looking for a father to my children, looking for someone who's going to provide me for me, and I mean, I was still holding on to the Prince Charming fantasy, even though I was having my own successful career, there was still that part of me that was holding on to Prince Charming, and realizing I don't need to have a man to complete me, but want someone in my life that is for a relationship, for fun, for friendship, for nurturing, for sex, for all of those things, but it's by choice, and it's not to take care of this unfulfilled part of me.
Right, right. And a lot of women, as they get into their 60s, feel they're going to lose their independence if they're going to be with a man. And so they'll back away from dating because of that. But you don't have to. They've actually done studies that say that some of the best relationships happen when people live apart, that they live next door, they can live in different states, they can live 15 minutes apart, because we're all set in our ways as we're in our 60s, and we're not as accommodating as we were in our 20s when we were marrying young, or 20s or 30s marrying young.
Mhm.
And now you can live apart, still have that wonderful relationship, have sleepovers, go on vacation together. You don't have to live together, but you can live together.
Mhm.
Just know that there's no set way that you have to be at this age.
Mm, yes. Yeah. Great. Yeah. My guy and I are an hour and a half apart. We live in two different cities, and we've been together for 3.5 years. And there's a lot of benefits to that for sure. Like the independence, and then like the time together, it feels more exciting when we get together.
It kind of keeps the romance alive.
Mhm. Yeah.
And you get to really have things your way most of the week, and his way, together way. He gets to have his way, and then you find a balance together. But I think it's very hard in your 60s sometimes to come together and recreate a full time new household, because
Mm.
everybody has their ways of doing things and their family's ways of doing things. So, but there are compromises. So I'm saying, and they're not compromises where you're settling. They're actually compromises where everybody can benefit. But you
Okay.
can go traditional too. So I just wanted to be the point made that there are options and possibilities. And that will also help in the dating world to make it more fun. And men can be friends too. You don't have to have every guy as your boyfriend.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay, so knowing there's options, having different expectations as we enter into this. So let's talk about the methodology.
Okay. What specifically would you like to know? Which
So how do you recommend that women go about finding these quality guys?
So I have all my clients create a dating blueprint. And it's really important that you have more than one way to meet a man. And the four ways they figure, we work together in four different ways. One is online dating. That is the biggest pool of men that you can find who are single all in the same place. The second one is meeting men in real life. You need to get the skills for flirting and feeling comfortable talking to men wherever you are. The third is asking friends and family, do you know anyone? Now, most of us say, well, I asked. Well, you probably asked once in a year. You have to kind of stay on it because people live their lives and they forget that you're single. So you kind of have to do a little rotational calendar and keep asking like every couple months, like quarterly. The fourth way is a matchmaker. That's another possibility. So you always want to have two ways of looking for men going at the same time.
Okay, great. So will you give us a little bit more information about those different approaches?
Sure. Well, let's talk about a matchmaker. I'm always asked about matchmakers. So I will say that matchmakers when you're in your 60s are a little bit more difficult because the quantity of men they have in the age group is not as high. And they just don't always have enough men. So you really want to qualify a matchmaker, really look at reviews. But I will say most people do not like matchmakers. They feel like they threw a dart on the board and fixed me up with someone. And that's because most women are looking for a guy almost like looking for a needle in a haystack. He has to have this, this, and this to be okay to be with. So they get it down to such a narrow amount that person doesn't really exist. And when I work with clients, we create a quality man template, which really helps them see who they want to be with today. Because oftentimes we're looking for who we looked for in our 20s. They don't exist. Okay, but so with matchmakers, a lot of people don't like them because of that, because they have their head in one place, whereas the matchmaker can see the possibilities and give you other ideas. I mentioned friends and family, what to do. You have to just keep asking. Because you're meeting men in real life, you have to just you have to be out and about. A great place to meet men are meetups. I've had clients get married from meetups. They'll go on like hiking meetups or happy hour meetups. They go to different types of meetups, and they just keep going and going and going. And the first time they go is really the toughest because you don't know anyone. And I teach women how to look in a room. So I'm going to teach this now too. When you go into a room, kind of stand at the doorway and look around for whoever's standing by themselves. And just approach and say, hi. I would go, hi, I'm Lisa. What's your name? And then you can go from there. But trying to invade into a group is next to impossible. And most people go into a room and they see this whole group there. So their eyes like bug out. And they're like, I'm out of here. Or a lot of women will sit at the bar with their friends if it's a happy hour meetup. And so they're not talking to anyone. Look for people who are by themselves. That's the easiest way to get a conversation started. And
people doesn't necessarily mean a man, but a man or a woman by themselves.
Well, you can, yeah. But if you're looking for a man, talk to a man. If you're looking for friends, it's really important in your 60s to have girlfriends that are not married, because the married ones mean well, but they don't know what they're talking about usually when it comes to dating. And it's important to have that support system of other single women. So sure, you can make friends too. Yeah. And then online, oh, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just thinking in terms of meetup, and because I did that as well. And I recall like the experience of going and feeling just like you said, feeling, oh no, intimidated. And kind of standing back a little bit and checking out the situation, that I found myself so much more comfortable to strike up a conversation with another woman, just to start feeling comfortable in the whole scene and getting a feel for the scene. Um, so I just was curious whether or not you had a recommendation as to terms of approach, and also the anxiety that can somehow come with that. I think that can come across. So somehow it's easier for me, at least, to calm down if I'm connecting with a woman.
Sometimes, yeah, as long as you don't stay there. And you can get out. But you can the first time. I mean, anyone you connect with on that first meetup is a good connection. And then every time you go back, it'll become more comfortable. And a lot of times, the same people will go to different meetups. So you'll start to see familiar faces and they'll start to recognize you. It is consistency. You have to keep going. Don't expect on the first meetup to meet the guy and then come home and go, I didn't meet him, I'm never going again. You got to keep going.
Well, yeah, and it's important too to be choosing things that you enjoy doing, so that you're going to enjoy it, whether or not you're meeting a guy at the event or not. It's an activity that you like. So
yes. And I will say, as long as you're safe about this, like having a glass of wine will make you a little more open. Just don't have too much more than a glass of wine or a martini. You don't want to get yourself in a precarious situation. You really want to have your wits about you when you're at these events.
Right. And before you move on to the internet, I had a follow-up question in terms of the asking friends and family members about the possibilities. How would you word that question?
You would just say, hey, have you met anyone single that would be great to be either a friend of mine? Because it's really important you collect these single friends so you have things to do on the weekends. I have some pretty powerhouse clients who are working 24/7 because they don't have friends. And you got to get friends too. So ask your friends, do you know anybody that is single? And whether they're male or female, one to be friends with, one if they're just single and looking for someone to date.
Great. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and venture into the online dating.
Online dating, you have to have nerves of steel to do, because we feel so rejected many times. I remember that feeling, just, oh my God, he didn't write me back, or, oh, he didn't contact me and I favored him. So one of the philosophies you want to keep in mind, and this helped me and this helps my clients. You want this mantra. It's not about you. You just don't match the picture of who they want. So they're not rejecting you personally. You just don't match the picture. And we do it to men all the time. We just don't see it the same way. But that is a really important thing to remember, and that will help you stay more sane in online dating.
Yeah, that's good advice. Should we be honest about our age in online dating?
Yes. The most important thing you could do is have really good pictures taken and wear clothes that show your best assets. Like, don't wear clothes like big black t-shirts and blue jeans and farmer boots, or you want to look contemporary. You want to be yourself, but you want to show off the best you. And also some makeup, because a lot of women say, oh, I don't really wear makeup. And I'll tell them, wear some makeup for this. It really helps with the camera. And it's not that men are so into makeup, because men really are. They usually love you just the way you are. But you're making a first impression. You have to catch them in 10 seconds. So you want to show them your best you. And so do it with clothing that makes you look amazing and that you feel good in. Because I know, like, when I wear boots, there's something about my stature when it has a heel on it that changes, even if it's only a 2-inch heel. It just changes things. Whereas when I wear fit flops, I just feel like totally different. I love fit flops; they're comfortable, but it's a different vibe. So the key is you want to go into a date feeling like your best self. So wear clothing that brings that out.
And what about the profile? Do you have tips and do's and don'ts in putting together what you say in your profile?
I do. So let me give you a tip about your pictures too. You want to have a close up of your face, and you also want to have a full body. Like, don't hide what your body looks like. They're either going to like you for who you are or they're not. And you don't want some guy who's not going to accept you for who you are. So you may as well be honest about it up front. That's real important. So your profile needs to be kind of short and sweet. I always do this little 4-question or 4-part template. A little about you, a little about what you're looking for, a little story about the two of you in the future together. And this is all maybe 3 or 4, maybe 4 or 5 sentence paragraphs, because a guy zones out if it's too much. We do too. I mean, I remember seeing men that wrote books, and I would be like, I can't get any further in this. And then invite them to write you. You can say something like, if this sounds like you, or I would love to hear from you. And that's a great way to do your profile.
So another question I have has to do with the whether or not, and I'm hearing this a lot, that men our age are looking for younger women.
Well, many men are, and because they'll come out of a divorce and they think, excuse me, they think that, oh, I'll date someone young. And what they usually find is most of the young women, excuse me, most of the young women, unless the guy is really wealthy and has a lot of power, it's like dating their grandpa. Whereas if they're wealthy or have a lot of power, they're intrigued by the money and the power. So what happens is they usually go out, the normal guys, not the real wealthy, but normal guys, even guys with money too, they'll go out with younger women and they find, I don't share anything in common with them. Our history is not in the same context. And then they decide, oh, well, this was fun. I'm going to try someone closer to my own age. And this is why online you want to have great pictures, because men browse pictures of women of all ages. That's how you want to catch them. That's why pictures are so important.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. I mean, I've heard that men are visual. So
very, very visual. And you want to just have a great profile. You want to have great energy. One of the best things you can do for yourself before you ever go online is to make sure your confidence is in place. Make sure that you feel really good about who you are, just how you are, and that you're vibrating to that. Like, if you don't feel good about yourself, you cannot attract a man that's going to feel good about you or himself either. You need to feel really great about yourself to attract a man that's going to really appreciate you. That's the vibe you give off.
Yeah, so you really need to start with that, build that foundation, feel good. So don't even venture into it until you're already feeling satisfied with who you are.
Yeah, it's really, really important. It's just also the law of attraction. If you're into the law of attraction, like attracts like. So if you think men aren't going to like you at this age, that's true. They're not going to. And you'll make that happen. Whereas if you think men will like you at this age, you're going to attract men. I mean, women our age look great. And get great pictures up there. Really, really important.
Well, and following up with that, women our age do look great. The women I know in this age range are absolutely amazing. And the complaints I hear is that they don't find men in our age range to be taking care of themselves in the same way. And I'm curious about your experience and thoughts on that.
I think that men, are used to a wife taking care of, a woman taking care of a lot of that stuff. Yeah, guys can show up pretty schlumpy, but if they're good guys, don't knock them out. That is stuff, that's like person improvement. It's outside. Never, ever deal with people whose personalities, you can't change personalities. But clothing and stuff like that, over time, that can be adjusted. I knew someone, she went out with a guy who was dressed schlumpy. And if you don't know what schlumpy is like, yeah, like he just would show up in just clothes that didn't fit. But he had a great personality. And so she said, you know what? I love his personality. So I am going to try him out, and they got into a relationship. Later on, she made some gentle suggestions and he started to dress differently, and you would never known he was schlumpy back in the day. So that kind of thing is fixable because they're not used to doing that. Man, a woman usually does that for them.
So don't rule a man out for the external kinds of things you're saying. And what about if they're, I mean, if they don't seem to be interested in, let's say if you're interested in taking care of yourself, you're interested in what you eat and watching your weight, and they don't seem to be the same. Do you see that can still be a match?
That is more personality traits versus outside things. That's more about how we feel about ourselves, what makes us feel good, eating a certain way or exercising, those kinds of things. And you just have to get an idea of how important it is to them. I mean, a lot of guys will write in their profile, I exercise, and they show up at the belly that's like all to here. So, that's a personality thing. And I'm not saying go ahead and change men, because that is not something you want to do. But when it's clothing or even teeth, that kind of stuff is changeable. When it's how they live their life, that's not. I mean, that's up to them if they want to do it or not. Don't make them a project. You don't want to make any man your project.
Right.
They don't like it. They don't like it either. They don't want to be your pet project.
Why, as women, do we tend to do that? Make men our projects? Do you have a theory on that one?
Yeah, a lot of it. I think we make them a project when we're not feeling good enough to have what we want. And so we think, all right, I can go in, fix this guy up, and then I'll have what I want. But the problem is that they don't like being fixed up. In the beginning, they may like all the attention, but over time, they feel controlled and they start to see you as like their mother, because you're telling them what to do, when to do it, where to do it, how to do it every 10 seconds. They don't like that. They really don't. So you don't really want to make men your projects. They come to resent you for it. You want to get yourself to what it is that you want in a man. That's really the secret.
Yeah, before the guy that I dated, before we started dating, I sat down and put a list together. I had been given a couple of different exercises of putting a list of the qualities that I was looking for in a man, and I'm sure everyone's heard about those. But the exercise that I had then had me take a look and say, which of those qualities do I have? And that was like, yeah, if I want to attract this, I have to be this. And I'm sure that's something that you teach and in your coaching.
Well, I mentioned a quality man template earlier, and one of the exercises we do in this is we do write out, I do have them write out 50 qualities, and we go through them, and every single quality I will say, do you have this? And they say, well, I go, you got to mark it with a star if you have a little of it, but you need improvement, and mark it with 2 stars if it's like you really don't have it, because you can't attract what you don't have.
Yeah, definitely. So what are the mistakes that women are making as they go out and approach this whole area? What are you finding the don'ts are?
The don'ts for internet dating. So you really want to favor men versus writing. You can try and write. And I've asked many men the question, should women write to you? And they go, well, yes, of course they should. And then I ask the real question, do you go out with them when they write? And men are pursuers, unless they're a beta male, there are pursuers. And they said, no, I really guess I haven't gone out with anyone that's written. They like it. It's a great ego stroking, but they really don't. You can write to men, but be prepared that they won't write back or it will fizzle out. The better thing to do is to favor them or go on Bumble. That is totally female you're the one that pursues. So
Mm,
wanna and men know that coming into
mm,
that.
mm,
So it keeps you in control.
mm.
So yeah, that's the way to deal with that.
So when you're saying writing, you're talking about initiating the
Initiate.
contact on the online
Yeah.
sites. Okay.
And I know women get upset with men who write hi and then nothing else. And
Yeah.
a lot of that is because men have been so rejected online that they get tired of putting themselves out there. So they figure, all right, I'll just say hi. And you can just write hi back. How's your day? And see where it goes from there. It's not that they're being lazy. It's just that they can't continually deal with that rejection either. They're
Mm,
1,000 times more rejected than we are as women.
mm, mm. Okay. Well, that's good information to know.
And right, okay, just be prepared uh, for them not to write back, or to for them not to write back or to say sorry, we're not a match. You can try it on a regular dating site,
Okay.
but often, like I said, fizzles.
Mm,
And you have to remember, they're not rejecting me. I just don't fit the picture of who they are, which is what we do to men all the time when we don't write them back, or
mm,
we don't like them.
mm, mm. Well, and I heard you talk about men liking to be, for the most part, liking to be the pursuers.
They do.
So there is some kind of process that I would guess that you recommend with that.
That's a whole thing about men. So that's why you favor them on dating sites when you can favor them,
Okay.
because they'll look at who favors them. And if they feel that you're a potential match for them, then they'll reach out.
Mm,
And it actually keeps you from getting rejected so much or feeling rejected so much, because you're not pursuing them and not hearing from them. All you're doing is saying, hey, I think you're favoring them with that. And that's just saying, I'm interested.
mm, okay. Mm. All right. Anything else before I ask my Facebook question?
Oh no, go back to your Facebook question. Sorry.
No, it's all right. No, I'm like trying to pull all this together. It's a crazy world out there.
That's why I wanted women to have the tools and be wrapped in the cocoon of
Mhm,
support.
mhm,
Because there are so many things to know about dating today. It is not an innate skill.
mhm,
We weren't born to date, and it's so different. And we're all so different at these ages than we were in our 20s, where we came together in a relationship and we built a life together. Now we're coming with lives and trying to intertwine them. And
mhm.
we're also trying to, get out of that needle in the haystack thing, looking for that.
Right. Well, and you used the word flirting too earlier on. Uh, so what are some examples of flirting?
So, well, you do want to flirt in your profile too, and you want to flirt when you talk to men online. Like when you get in a conversation, you asked before what women do wrong. They get into a relationship kind of emails. You want emails to be short and sweet and cute. And if you want to talk more, then you can say something like, I would love to put a voice to these emails. Or if they ask a serious question, you could say, oh, I'd love to talk about that. Would it be okay with you if we talked on the phone? And
Mm,
most men will say sure. Or if we meet, or however you want to put that. You're not asking them out. You're just leading them to, I'm not going to create a relationship in an email. And a lot of women do. And then when men disappear, they feel they were in a relationship and they weren't. You're
mhm,
not. I
mhm,
don't become an email pen pal with someone.
mhm,
Maybe 10 emails max between the two of you, and get that guy to the phone.
mhm,
But don't say, I want to talk to you. Say it would be nice to put put a voice to these emails.
mhm,
Could we talk on the phone?
mhm,
And that way, what you're doing is you're leading him and you're showing him, I'm interested and this is what I'd like. Versus, I remember when I first started dating and I said, oh, let's talk. And I gave him my number. Never heard from him again because it was too intense. I was trying to be nice, but I was too intense. This is
mhm,
my
mhm.
40s, but I was crying all the time.
So a softer invitation.
Yeah, well, back in like the old days, like I love this I Love Lucy show. She dresses up, Lucy dresses up in a wig so that Ricky doesn't recognize her. And they go through this flirting routine. And back then, you used to drop your handkerchief. And if a man picked it up and he was interested, you were signaling him with that. If a man picked it up and he was interested, he would talk to you. If he picked it up and just to be polite, he would keep, he'd say, here's your handkerchief and keep moving on. But we don't know how to signal men that we're interested. And you got to do that in your profile and you got to do it in real life.
So
So,
how do we do it in real life? So you talked about when you go to like a meetup and see someone alone in the room going up and talking to them. But so what's a way of flirting when you're making that connection in person?
well, when you're flirting, you're just playful. It's, you touch, you like give a little pat on the arm or you kind of bend your head a little and you laugh and you just like, some women are probably going, it's something, it's a skill that you just have to keep practicing at. But when you just want to be softer and playful. It's not that you're changing yourself. Do not change yourself. But if you come in there like a barracuda or a tigress, even when men come at us like a lion, we're like, oh, we're back and our energy's backing up the same as theirs would. So you want to be softer, lighter, playful. Try and go side to side with them, because when you're side to side versus across from them, it's hard to touch. It's hard to just tap their hand and go, oh, and tapping their hand. And it's just playing. And we just haven't done it in so long that you just got to get out there and do it. Even if you're talking to the grocery guy and asking them what apple to choose to bake a pie or something, just smile at them and tip your head and go, oh, thank you. And men love that stuff. Even when you're in a relationship, it's really good to keep flirting.
Yeah, I think flirting is so fun, and it doesn't have to be the opposite sex. You can flirt with the same sex too. It's being playful and open and having fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the opposites. I mean, the same sex, because I've never done that before, but I think we maybe do it naturally because we play in our talk sometimes. But with men, we can suddenly be near a man and go, because we don't know what to say. But you can always compliment a man, or you can always ask him a question. Like if you're at a meetup that's a happy hour and he's drinking something, you could say, oh, what are you drinking? That smells, I could smell that from here. Like, I love the smell of bourbon. So I would go, oh God, that smells so good. Is that bourbon? And then you never want to really totally ask a yes or no question. Like, even though I said, is that bourbon? Then I would say, well, what's your favorite? Because then you have to have an open-ended question somewhere in there. So they have something to talk about.
So you're saying like go to a meetup or an event where you meet someone in person and stand side by side versus across from them. Let's say you're standing up and you've got a drink in your hand. So position yourself.
In a meetup, you could stand across because your bodies are close together.
Okay.
When you go on a date, if there's any, or a bar, it's better to be side by side because it's very hard across the table to flirt. If you're sitting at a table,
Okay.
it's hard to do that. Or try and get at a square table, but let him lead that. Where you could sit so that you can touch, so you can touch and you can kind of go, really? You kind of bump against him. You can't do that across the table. You bump his head, go boom. Oh yeah. Oh, that's fun. That's what I'm talking about. Like when you're at a meal, and you're sitting at the bar. Just try and sit side by side when you can. But at the meetup, yeah, you're face to face, so that's easy.
What are your suggestions around allowing the men to hold the car door for us or open the door for us? How do you recommend we go about that?
Well, I love it personally. I think it's great. Yes, can I open my own door? Oh, yeah. I've opened my own door forever, But when a man does it, it kind of makes you feel girly and feminine inside, and it feels good. And so just smile at him and say, Oh my God, thank you. I really appreciate that. And that's when you can gently touch his hand as you're saying that. But yeah, we don't need to do it all ourselves. We were kind of taught, as growing up as I am woman, let me roar, I can do it all myself. And what we
Mhm.
ended up doing was we learned to stop getting help from men and we taught them to not help us
Mhm.
anymore. And why in the world do you want that anymore? It's like, I don't. I'm tired of. I was tired of doing everything myself, and men truly want to make you happy at this age. It's a big cycle they've gone through. I love Allison Armstrong's work. She talks about the cycle that men go through, and when they come out, they really do want a woman at their side, and they do want to make her feel happy, safe, and protected when they're with her.
Mhm.
And they would do anything. If they're an emotionally healthy man, they'll move mountains for you.
Mhm.
It feels good, but you have to be careful because, as Allison says, we have the rule book for how to do everything, and we can end up training them again to stop doing it because we want it done our way. So
Mhm.
that's a whole other subject.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
both of those themes have come up several times in these sessions on this retreat.
yeah, but it's great. I think why not let them be mad? You know, we want them to accept us for who we are, but we don't have to be super women. We can
Mhm.
let people help us.
Mhm.
And, and letting a man help you, it really does bring out your femininity, which I know I had forgotten what that was, if I ever knew what it was until I was in my 50s, because
Mhm.
I wasn't taught, what
Mhm.
that was. And
No.
it feels really good.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, let me get my Facebook question now. I had all these other questions coming up. It's like, all right, well, let me come back to this one. And it has to do with concern. And I know I will get these emails from men who want to friend me, and I don't know who they are. And then I might look a little bit further into like information about them, and like the songs that they like are all in a language I don't know. And it's a warning. And I've heard about people really doing some not such good things online, and through Facebook, and curious about your experience with that.
I think that with Facebook with men, yes, there are a lot of scammers that will use Facebook. They'll say they're in the military and looking for a woman and yada yada. And I would not friend any man that you don't know. And sometimes they will be friends with someone you know. It'll say, oh, friends with so and so. Check with them. Do you know this person?
Mm-hmm.
Might say, oh, well, someone else supposedly knew them. So check, because that's a way to stay safer on Facebook with who you're talking to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've heard of people becoming friends, and then the man is very uh, he gives a lot of compliments, and he's showing a lot of interest, and then before long he's asking for money. Have you heard about
That's
those
a
situations?
scammer. So
Um,
we're talking about scammers, and those
mhm.
can happen at online dating sites, on Facebook,
Yeah.
everywhere.
Mhm.
Key to that is, um, I always recommend you get into a relationship I'm not a relationship. You always meet someone within 2 weeks of initial contact. And
Mhm.
that helps you avoid scammers. You keep those emails short and sweet to like 10 each. You do a phone conversation no more than two, because beyond that, scammers know how to hook you,
Mhm.
fall for them really quickly. They use a script. They know exactly what they're doing. And the more time you spend on the phone with them, the more you fall for this fantasy person. And they know this because in your mind, you're creating who they are based on this picture that they posted on Facebook or on a dating site that is not even them. And then you get to the meet and greet. So, you know how I said before about the voice? To go from an email, I'd love to put a voice to these. Well, after the second conversation, it would be nice to see the real person. First or second, get to that quickly, because otherwise you're wasting time.
Mhm.
And you're talking to someone that could not be a fit for you or could be a scammer. And if they say, I'm out of the country, then you say, okay, well, when you come back, reach out. This
Mhm.
is why you don't one of the best words of wisdom I can give to people is you're not in a relationship on the phone, you're not in a relationship in email. We create a fantasy relationship when we do that. And this is from the girl who in my 40s on my bucket list was to go to an exotic country, and I met a guy in Australia. And I went all the way there because that was the exotic country. We had this great relationship on the phone. This was internet dating was new. The scammers weren't out there at this point, and it was, I'd say, a lot safer than, a lot different. I think internet dating can be safe. You just, but that's a different story too. But we had this great relationship. It was a fantasy relationship. We met in real life, and it did not connect. So you do not want to create a relationship. This will save you a lot of heartache. Get to that meeting him within 2 weeks of initial contact.
Great
and make the time to do it, because we get so busy we don't have time, and then you drag this on. So meet.
Great advice. So as we prepare to wrap up, is there any last bit of advice that you want to give us?
So I would go out there and date to meet new and interesting men. Like, a lot of times you see a guy on an online dating site, and he may not be your so-called type. But if you met him in real life, where you saw his personality mixed with his looks, you might really like him and think he's a lot of fun. Give men a chance. It doesn't hurt you to go on a coffee date. I mean, don't get involved in lunch and dinner if you're not sure, but to go on a coffee date could be half an hour of your time. And also make the time. So many men will tell me, well, I approach women, but they'll say, I don't have time, and I can't see you for 3 weeks because my calendar's so full. If you're out there dating, you got to make the time to see these guys, because they move on, and you could be losing, someone great. And it's really important, if you're overscheduling, put dating in your schedule. And have fun. Just go have fun. Meet someone new and interesting. Don't be attached to how that first date's going to come out. Like I used to be in my 40s when I cried all the time. I would go on a date and I would think, oh God, I'm going to be Mrs. So-and-so. And it's like, what was I thinking? I didn't know. And then they didn't even call me back again. I did. I told you I spent a lot of time crying. But, it's better to go and meet someone new and interesting. Have some questions that bring up your shared history together. You don't have to just go in and say, what do you do? How many kids do you have? That's like when you see people at your college reunion or high school reunion. Don't be a resume person. Be someone that is, fun and that they want to get to know some more, because you're much more interesting and you'll come off as unique versus what's your job? What's your, those kinds of regular questions everybody asks that you want to go, oh, I can't believe that.
Great. Yeah, wow. It's such an empowering time for us. We can really embrace this and have fun with it. We don't have the biological clock issue going anymore. We've arrived at a state in our lives where we have all this wisdom. So go out and have some fun with it. That's what I'm hearing. That's great advice.
And remember, you have options for relationships. Don't get stuck in it has to be a certain way. Think, oh my God, I get to choose how I want this man to fit or not fit in my life.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Great. Thank you, Lisa. I understand you have a free gift for everyone who's watching.
I do, Joanna. It's called The 5 Little Known Secrets for Finding a Quality Man. It's an ebook, but if you have been dating a while, it may inspire you and motivate you to try something different. And if you haven't started dating, it's also a great place to get started. So it works for everybody. And I hope you like it.
That sounds great. Well, thank you. Thanks for taking time. I know you've just made a big move, and so you've had a lot going on. So I appreciate you making the time for us, being here with us today.
So my pleasure. It was really fun talking with you, Joanna. And I hope it helped the people in this community watching this, that you can date, you can find love in your 60s. I've had lots of clients do it. and you can have fun, and meet new and interesting people and have choice. God, that's all. That's cool. That should make you excited.
Well, okay, so get out your file label or your blank piece of paper and write down one takeaway from today's session, something that you want to do differently as a result of what you learned today. Put that with your journal and put it aside. We'll get back to it at the end of this retreat. Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you at the next session.